This video is not for whales and dolphins, it's for you because you are just like me. Average Duck Gamer here, and today I want to break down Orphie's kit because if you didn't know, Orphie is currently available in ZZZ right now. You can check her out through the event stuff and you can play her there and you can read the full details of her kit. But, you know, maybe you didn't necessarily go through exactly how she works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down how she works in simple terms and we're going to talk about where we think she's going to stack up meta-wise and what kind of teams you're going to want to play her with. So first things first, I'm going to give you the TLDR. The TLDR on Orphie is that she is an off-field attack character. She does damage from off-field. These are Aftershocks. She is the Aftershock attack character that was promised. Let's get straight into that then. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about her skills. We'll go on to her core skill in a moment, but the core skill mentions quite a bit of the EX special. So we're actually going to start on the EX special. We'll go on to some of the other skills in a moment, but I'll just preface what I'm going to say there, which is most of the time there's not really anything special to write home about. Most of her stuff and most of the stuff that we need to be aware about is here under the EX special detail. It's a lot of stuff, but don't worry, I'll break it down. I'll make it easy for you. Okay, so first things first then, what we have here is we have her initial special attack, which we can ignore. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do it without EX specialing. Then we have this here, the special attack Corrosive Path. Automatically triggers during ally attacks, unleashes 4 laser aftershock attacks dealing fire damage, triggers once per 5 seconds. Upon activating the skill, restore 20 heat. Character is invulnerable when using the skill. So basically she's off field doing additional attacks, which is like pretty cool, right? So she's going to do a 4 attack chain of aftershock attacks while she is off field once you actually attack the enemy. Then she has an EX special, which she can use when she is on field. This is her on field EX special. Watch your step. She kind of falls over and does a little whoosh with the laser. Okay, let's carry on. Let's move on to the actual real meat of this. So when you are off field and you have 60 or more energy, she automatically triggers the EX special Crimson Vortex during ally attacks. So when you attack the enemy, she will automatically use her EX special from off field. This performs a sweeping laser attack in the area around, dealing fire damage. Upon activating the skill, restore 20 bottled heat. So it's the same as using this EX special here. Character is invulnerable when using the skill. Now, I just want to quickly show you that these are the names for the 2 different EX special attacks that Orphie can use. The one where she's off field, the damage multiplier is 1,172% at level 9, and then the damage multiplier is 390% at level 9 for the on-field one versus the off-field one. So it's very clear that the game is going to incentivize you to basically just leave Orphie off-field. When she gets to 60 energy, she spends half of it, so she'll spend 30 energy in order to utilize the attack, and I'll show some footage of that now so you can see roughly how that works. Let's carry on going through the rest of the EX specials though, because I promise there's still more. So basically though, you're going to want to leave her off field to do the EX specials automatically on her own. It's going to do more damage that way. Okay, let's move on then and start talking about the heat charge. When bottled heat is greater than or equal to 100, so this is the bar that's under her name. So when her bar is over the point that it has on it, you hold the special button, and then it's going to continuously fire a laser forward, dealing fire damage. When the firing begins, it triggers a quick assist, and then after continuous firing for a period, firepower increases, greatly boosting the skill's interrupt level. There's a whole bunch of stuff here. Basically, you hold it, it does big laser, it can parry. It also triggers a quick assist, and she also will automatically follow on from this attack by doing her last attack down here, the EX special attack Fiery Eruption. Automatically after the heat charge reaches maximum fire time, it performs a spinning attack forwards and then fires a layer with the fire damage. Character is invulnerable when using the skill. So basically, these two follow on from each other, the heat charge and then into the Fiery Eruption. And again, if we look at the scaling for that, I'm just going to move my big head out of the way. If we look at the scaling for that, we can see that the initial heat charge is pretty decent in terms of multiplier. So that's going to be that big held laser that Orphie does. And you might be thinking like, well, why do we even need to do the big held laser? And let me tell you, let's have a look at the core skill and we'll run through the why for that in just a moment after this reminder that you probably aren't subscribed. Liking and subscribing is a great way to support creators like me on YouTube. It also lets me know that you enjoy this type of content. You can also drop me a follow over on Twitch where I work out a lot of this stuff live, and you can join the Discord to come in and chill and chat with a bunch of cool Zenless Zone Zero enjoyers. So let's look at the core F so that we can see the maximum amount of scaling that she would have at her final investment level. And initially, straight off the bat, this is unconditional. She gets crit rate of 25%. She doesn't have to trigger anything in order to do this. She just gets crit rate increase of 25%. So that also means, like, from her main stat page here, you can see the crit rate of 37%. This actually means that that will be 25% higher. So it means that her main stat line might not always look that good, but she will get that additional 25% unconditionally. And then Aftershock damage increases by 85%. So when she's off field, she's doing even more damage. So her Aftershocks, the stuff that she does off field, which also will include her EX special, does additional damage. When Orphie initially enters the field, she gets 100 bottle heat up to a maximum of 125. So that means that she's basically able to activate the heat charge straight off the rip. When Orphie and Magus are off field, if special attack corrosive flash is available, energy is greater than or equal to 60, consume 30 energy to automatically trigger EX special Crimson Vortex instead. So as we talked about here, when you have more than 60 energy, she's going to consume 30 of it, and she's going to send this particular EX special attack. Okay, very cool. Then it triggers a state on all members called Zeroed In. This is Orphie's buff for 12 seconds. Repeated triggers reset the duration. Zeroed In increases agent attack by 280. When Orphie's initial energy regen is greater than or equal to 1.6, for every 0.1 initial energy regen above this threshold, attack increases by an additional 20. This goes up to a maximum increase of 700. It's just not a particularly huge buff, but remember, she's an attack character and not necessarily a support character, so the fact that she provides a buff of 700 is still pretty good, I would say. But in terms of the amount of energy regen required in order to reach the maximum of 700 attack, you would in fact need 3.7 energy regen in order to reach the maximum of 700. Without her engine, you would probably be sitting on somewhere around the 2.8 region, which would leave you at around 520 attack buff. So without her engine, unless you run 2-piece swing and 2-piece Moonlight Lullaby, which doesn't really make sense for the additional energy regen from both, you probably are going to be in a position where you're not getting the max amount of this buff. But we are talking about 180 attack as the difference. It's not a huge amount of difference. I don't think you need to max this buff. You will not need to max this buff, but in order to max it, you are probably going to need to get her engine, yeah. When an agent with zeroed in triggers Aftershock, their zeroed in duration extends by 4 seconds up to a maximum extension of 20 seconds. Okay, that's great. So when another character is doing Aftershocks, so someone like Trigger, someone like Sambi, they're going to be able to extend that Aftershock duration. The Fireblade attack from basic attack, high pressure, flame, blah, blah, or so basically all of the EX specials, the chain, and the ultimate count as Aftershock damage, and using these skills count as triggering Aftershock. So basically allows Orphie's Aftershock damage to apply to more stuff. So let's also look, we have to go over here to look at the additional ability. So the additional ability is when another character is a stun or support character, Aftershock damage dealt by agents with zeroed in ignores 25% defense. That's going to be a free trigger engine for like always applying an additional 25% defense shred. That's pretty good. I will say though, the rest of her kit seems pretty ordinary. So like there's not really anything to say about her ultimate specifically or her defensive assist. It is a defensive assist, not an evasive assist. I guess that is worth mentioning. And then her dodge and her basics. She is designed to work in an off-field fashion. You probably won't need to bring her on that regularly. You will build up that bottled heat mechanic just from leaving her off-field and letting her do the EX specials on her own. Remember, when she gets to 60, she's going to spend half of it, and then you'll only really bring her on to do her heat charge at certain points. And that's really the way that Orphie works. So what does that mean for Orphie in terms of like gearing? Well, considering that basically all of her damage is Aftershock damage, and she provides a buff to her own Aftershock damage, I would say that, yeah, the best 4 pieces as they've got it on here, Shadow Harmony, and then the best 2 piece, so that she can both A, benefit more from additional energy regen. Remember, the faster her energy generates, the more EX specials she'll be able to do off field. I think it's going to be a 2-piece swing or a 2-piece Moonlight Lullaby. Both of them are going to offer the same thing, so it depends. If you've been farming the new set super hard and maybe you didn't have that many good swing jazz pieces, you might end up using the newer set for the 2-piece. But yeah, 2-piece energy regen is going to be integral, and you're going to want energy regen on Disc 6. Disc 5, there's going to be a few different options. It's probably going to depend on what substats you have, but attack, pen, or fire damage bonus would all be pretty good. And then down here, you might very well want attack or crit rate, crit damage, depending on what you may very well need more of. Okay, so considering that she gives herself 25% crit rate, In terms of what we're going to expect to see on her engine, it's probably going to be a 60% energy regen. There aren't really any other options for you to run a 60% energy regen, like from an F to P perspective. You could run Anton's weapon, but then you're not really getting anything from the additional for Anton's weapon because she's not going to do any electric damage. So I don't think it would be too crazy to build her with an attack style weapon, some kind of weapon that offers some crit rate, crit damage, and building her, because remember, she's going to be doing damage from off field, and it's going to be much more than our previous Aftershock agents of someone like Jufufu, Trigger, because yeah, she's actually going to be doing more damage. In terms of the characters that she's going to work really well with, she's clearly been designed to work well with Seed because she's going to do her EX specials from off field, which kind of means you don't need to bring Seed back on. Now, Seed does have a mechanic where she wants you to use energy from an on-field attack character, which is weirdly specific and seems to be written just so that Orphie isn't her absolute perfect teammate. So yeah, it means that you're going to miss out on that a lot of the time because you will leave Orphie off field, but there will be occasions where you could potentially manage some of that and actually use a little bit of the EX specials on field just so that you can benefit from the additional from Seed. Seed has clearly been designed to work with her really well, and also Sambi, and depending on what happens with Sambi changes, it may very well be a case that potentially either Seed or Sambi would be a great secondary agent with Orphie, but other than that, I actually don't think that Orphie's going to work super well with many other agents. I think that she's kind of niche in a way that is particularly good with Seed and Sambi, in other words, her Obol Squad teammates, and then pretty much every other character, it'll be kind of cope. Now, will you be able to on-field Orphie? Will you be able to use her as an on-field agent? Yeah, sure. But the way that she's been designed is that she's been designed in a way to be run in these newer double attack style teams to incentivize you to run her in a double attack style team. So you want to run her with a supportive agent, someone like Trigger, maybe even Astra, who can support an attacker style team, and you'll want to run another attack character with her. Now, is she going to bring someone like a Nekamata up? Probably not as much as Seed would, because remember, Orphie's not going to be taking that much field time. I actually think that Orphie's going to be kind of niche as an agent. She's going to be really, really good with Seed and Sambi, and then outside of that, she'll be acceptable, but not particularly impressive. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about Orphie down below. As always, remember to like and subscribe, Special and Aftershocks on all your pulls. Pour responsibly, stay weird. Bye, 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 bye.